So in this video, you will learn the critical factors that dictate the cost of your divorce and how you can reduce these costs significantly. So for most, divorce will be the biggest financial transition of their lives. The data unfortunately tells us that 11% of men and 20% of women fall into poverty as a direct result of divorce, which totally sucks. The average cost of divorce in the UK right now is £14,561, and that includes renting, childcare and some other lifestyle costs. So in this video, you will learn the critical factors that dictate the cost of your divorce. 1. Is it a contested divorce? Now, changes to the Divorce, Dissolution and Separations Act mean that a couple getting divorced in the UK no longer have to assign blame. Now, either party, or indeed both, can apply to the court for a divorce order to end the marriage simply by stating that the marriage has broken down irretrievably. No evidence needs to be provided to prove that there has been any bad behaviour on anybody's part. So, no more blame game. This means that the vast majority of divorces are no longer contested. And in fact, the only way to really contest a divorce is on legal technicalities. And number 2 is legal fees. And this is the big one. Legal fees refers to the costs that you'll pay to professionals to reach an agreement, such as mediators, coaches, collaborative lawyers, etc. This does not include court fees. The two things that make a case more complicated in particular are children and shared assets. Having children, particularly young children, will inevitably make reaching an agreement on financial matters and custody a lot more challenging. Similarly, if there are a lot of shared assets, then this of course adds complexity to the situation. In either of these situations, or indeed in both, it is more likely that you will need greater assistance from professionals, and that is of course going to increase your legal fees. Now, separate to the legal fees, which we'll come back to in just a moment, are your divorce application fees. These are currently £593 in the UK. And there's a link in the notes below linking you to the gov.uk website confirming all the details and also how to start the divorce process. Now, if you reach an agreement between you and if you qualify, then you can proceed with a DIY divorce. To qualify, you must have been married for at least 12 months, and it must be a minimum of 20 weeks from the start of proceedings before you can complete the divorce and get your condition order of divorce. So a DIY divorce is available to you when both parties agree on financial issues and custody arrangements. You will still have some solicitor costs to create the necessary consent orders or financial orders to make the agreement binding. If you're unable to make that agreement between you, then you're going to need to employ other external professionals, lawyers, etc. to help you reach that agreement, and that's going to increase the cost of your divorce. So let's start with mediators. The majority of mediator services are charged by the hour, ranging from about £150 to £500, and that's largely based on geographic location and of course expertise. Note that many also may charge you additional meeting preparation fees. Now, the quantity of meetings that you will need will of course vary from case to case, based largely on the hostility between you and the complexity. You should expect and budget for a minimum of about 3 or 4 sessions before you can realistically reach a conclusion. Now, of course, mediation does not come with any guarantees, and neither party can walk away from the process at any time. So divorce arbitration is a type of divorce trial, but instead of couples resolving their disputes in a public courtroom with a very expensive judge, their case is heard in a private setting before a chosen arbitrator. Divorce arbitration is typically used when couples get stuck on negotiations and want a conclusion without the additional costs and time that it's going to cost when you go through to court. Collaborative divorce is an alternative to traditional divorce litigation. Rather than give over total control to the judge, the couple decides on what their objectives are for the negotiations. Each has a professional legal representative working with them to achieve these objectives. And all four come together in what's called four-way meetings. When successful, it's also a more cost-effective approach as tasks can be given to specialist professionals without the duplication of effort that would normally be involved when you go forward into court. Generally, the costs are considerably higher than, for example, mediation, not least because you have two lawyers coming to each meeting. Now, according to alternative family law, even a straightforward case, the costs are unlikely to be less than $10,000 for each party. So if you are unable to reach a settlement by any other means, then you may need to go to court and have a judge reach a conclusion for you. Legal fees alone are likely to be $10,000 to $15,000 per party, and those costs could easily double if it's a complicated case. Your divorce costs will be dictated by your ability to reach an agreement. The more outside professional assistance required to achieve that, the higher the cost. In most cases, the cost of divorce is directly in line with the complexity of the case and, honestly, the hostility between you two. For support going through divorce, check us out and join us at DivorceClub.com. And we also have a list of solicitors as well as other divorce professionals at directory.divorceclub.com. And remember, you don't have to go through divorce alone.